So I literally, this was such a hard message for me because there is a ton of verses on the subject in Proverbs. Like the guy just goes off on it all throughout it. And so I actually showed my wife, Lindsay, a list of all these verses. And what we're going to be talking about is our mouth tonight. And what Solomon has to say about the power of our mouths. And so I had Lindsay come up. I go, honey, look at my computer. Like these are all the things I've just found, and I don't even want to look anymore because I'm overwhelmed. Because I got to somehow put this together into a message. And I mean, there was just a ton of verses, multiple pages of verses in Proverbs dealing with our mouths. And you're like, wow, Steve, is that what we're going to talk about? Oh, yeah. We are going to talk about our mouths tonight and the power of your mouth. Now, if you haven't known that the Olympics were on, you've been in a box for the last few weeks, okay? So the Olympics have been on. It's dominated TV. It's dominated the news and everything else. And I absolutely love the Olympics. It's an extremely unproductive time for me, especially with the way NBC was rolling it out this year. I don't know if you've been trying to stay up with it at night, but it's like the commercials and when they say it's coming next, they're lying. I've come to figure that out. That means 3 commercials from now, then that big event will be on. And so I've been staying up. I've been recording it. When I go home tonight, because today's the last day, and so I'm going to watch it. But one of the things that I enjoy doing is I find myself watching sports that I watch once every 4 years, right? Or I didn't even know they exist. And one of the coolest sports, and I didn't know it existed, but I just found myself watching it the other day. Both kids, their naps aligned at the same time, which is the moment I believe in God the most. And I'm there, and I'm like, what do I do with this time to manage this? And so, Olympics. And I turned it on, and I'm watching. I don't know if you saw this. I don't even know what it's technically called, so don't this isn't from the Bible, so just relax. But they are in this race, and it's one person, and I believe it's I'll just call it slalom canoeing. And they're in a canoe, and it's one person, one guy. And I kid you not, I'm watching this, and I got more into it and excited, and I'm telling him how to row it by the end of it. I don't know how long the distance was, but I mean, they're standing up, and it is just this. And it is the craziest, most intense race ever. And I'm just watching this and go, I didn't even know this existed, but this is blowing my mind. These guys are getting the most incredible workout right now, and they are just flying and moving. And then all of a sudden, I'm picking someone to cheer for. I don't know what country they're for, but I just start liking them. And I cheer for them. And I don't know about you, but throughout the Olympics, they tell these stories about different athletes, and you find yourself cheering for people you've never cheered for in your life. All of a sudden, you're cheering for Zimbabwe, and you have no business cheering for Zimbabwe. Like me, I'm U.S. all the way through and through, but all of a sudden, I'm like, Austria, you got this. I just find myself, because of these stories, or I'll hear an interview with a particular athlete, and they'll talk, and I go, man, I like them. I like them. Or I'll hear a particular athlete, and I'll go, not so much a fan anymore. And it's funny because as I watch this, I've found myself all of a sudden rooting and cheering for people and liking people more based upon not even their performance, but what they say. And it's kind of a crazy thought for me. Lindsay and I were up one of the nights, and we were watching, I don't know what this one's called either. I think it's tandem synchronized diving. Is that what it is? Something like that? Okay. Two guys, I'm sure they have women's as well, but we were watching the men's, 2 guys, and they're both at the same place, and they both jump together and do the same things, and they go in right at the same time, and everything's important with it. And anyway, I think they won gold. And they get out, and all of a sudden, because the news, when they're interviewing, they're trying to get this story, right? So controversy, whatever. And they ask them, well, man, did you feel the pressure, and what were you going through your mind and all this? And they ask them both, and it was one of the most amazing moments. Lindsay and I were looking at each other like, when are they going to edit this out? Because we couldn't believe what they were saying. And they just kept going over and over again how our identity is not rooted in how we perform in the Olympics. Our identity rests in what Jesus Christ has already done for us. And I'm just like, this is TV. Are they going to allow this? I'm like, but they just kept going on. Like, they didn't just stop. It was like, no, our identity's not in this. So you know what? We knew that however we did, we were just going to do our best. But we know that our identity's in with Jesus Christ. And so this is awesome, but it doesn't define who we are. And I'm just sitting there like, they just preached a message. Like, that's ridiculous. And then his partner, who's younger, says the same thing. And I'm like, oh, yeah. And all of a sudden, never watched the event in my life. I'm following and cheering for two guys, never met in my life. But I love them because what I heard them say. And there is another individual in our Olympics. And like I said, if you haven't been watching or you don't even know this story, then you've been in a box. But one of the Olympians, a swimmer, decided to fabricate a story. And it's kind of gotten a little bit of attention. It's hijacked the Olympics, really. And fabricated a story about a robbery. And anyway, and so all of a sudden, this guy, and you know what's crazy? This story has just dominated the Olympics. So no one's even talking about the fact that this guy won an Olympic gold medal. Like, no one's even, like, I haven't heard anyone say anything about a medal. It's 100% been about what he said and the story that he shared. And all of a sudden, people that were rooting and loving this individual are now mocking, making fun, hoping he gets in trouble and all this. And it's literally just based upon what came out of their mouth. And so it's interesting. I think for all of us, we look at our lives and we look at people that are in our lives and we make a lot of judgments based upon how they speak. It's funny, one of my mentors, and I always joke around with him like this, the first time I met him in an elevator, and he's a great guy, speaks into my life, but I met him in an elevator, and the way he talked, I really didn't like him. And I kind of just didn't like how he acted. And so I was like, I don't really like you. And now, obviously, we're really close, and he's a mentor in my life, but we make that joke because I'm like, well, of course they didn't like you. I didn't like you, but because of his demeanor in this, but people just don't know him. But then when you get to know him and he speaks, you hear his heart. But there's a lot of judgments and things we make with people based upon what they've said. And we base opinions, we base who we follow or who we reject off of what they say. And so in Proverbs 16, 27 and 28, and the verses are going to be on the screen as well, Solomon talks about the mouth. And he's going to talk, we're going to read quite a few verses, and I want you to know, because this is a different kind of message, these verses are just they're not going to like take you to a depth you've never been. They're more just something you need to think about and consider. And it's written in a way that's very easy to understand. So in Proverbs 16, 27 and 28, it says this: scoundrels create trouble. Their words are a destructive blaze. A troublemaker plants seeds of strife. Gossip separates the best of friends. Okay, awesome. So a scoundrel, another version says a worthless person creates trouble. Their words are a destructive blaze. And I look at like how many of you know people that create trouble? That like they create it. And one of the things, I was talking about the Olympics, one of the things that you'll hear in interviews is they try and catch them in a controversy, or they try and create or generate a controversy. And there's people in our world, in your lives, coworkers of yours, maybe they're in your family, and they are trying to create controversy in your life. And you have to be able to identify it and know it. And these people are not good people. Like these people, like literally, they feed off of that. And it's dangerous. And one of the things that just, sometimes the word usage just gets me. And when it says that it causes, their words are a destructive blaze, I just immediately go back to, as a child, I grew up in Washington State, so forest fires are something very real. Every summer in high school, my buddies, that was like a main job, would go and fight fires and all that, because you just knew it was going to be happening all over the state. It's good income. But anyway, one of the things that happens when and in San Diego, we've had crazy fires. And I don't know, I think some of you have even maybe had to evacuate before, or this or that. But as a fire that is out of control comes close, it gets crazy. Because it's one thing to see it from a distance, It's another when it's like, and you're feeling heat, you're feeling all of a sudden this wind, and you are absolutely blown away by the destructive force of this thing, the speed that it's going, the heat that it's generating, and its ability to hurt you. And so when you think of a blaze, this isn't like just words that are like, oh, that's a cute descriptive word. No. It means this is incredibly dangerous. Your words have incredible meaning, and they can go in a way that will wreck someone's life. When you think of a blaze and it goes through an area of like out of control fire, I mean, it is crazy, the after effects. I don't know if you've ever climbed a mountain or been out in the woods where an incredible fire has taken place, and you just see, it's crazy the devastation that a fire can cause out in like the wilderness. It's just amazing if you've ever done that. And it just blows me away. And so I look at this and I go, man, there's such power in my mouth. In all of our mouths. There's so much power there for good and for evil. And I think of what it says, about the whole gossip thing. Gossip separates the best of friends. Do you understand that? Like it says, gossip separates the best of friends. Like your very best friend. I want you to just think about right now, your very best friend, the one you call, the one who texts you, the one that it's like, man, when things get south, that's the person you talk to. They're closer to you than your family is. It's your best friend. And it's crazy that something as simple as gossip can ruin that. And some of you have lived this, you felt this, and someone's either said something about you or spread something, and it has wrecked relationships, friendships, families, coworkers. It is destructive. It separates the best of friends, and it's crazy when you think about these troublemakers that plant these seeds of gossip. And yet, we know it's destructive, but we like it. Every time I check out at a grocery store, I'm reminded of how much our culture loves gossip. Because most of the magazines right there, first of all, they don't even represent, because they're photoshopped, they don't even look like what they really look like. And then they have all these magazines that aren't even like truthful, and we know they're not truthful, but we buy them. Because we're like, ooh, boy, no. Guess what, honey? Yeah. Well, no, it's not true, but guess what? And we like it, and we feed on it. And the thing is, we're like, well, I know that's not real, but the problem is it becomes normal to me, and then it becomes real, and then it ruins friendships, and it hurts people. And some of you experience this. Some of you have had major fights over this, and gossip had no place in Jesus' life, and it has no place in a Jesus follower's life. And so I just want to encourage you that gossip, at its very nature, it divides and it separates. It does not bring together. And so be aware of it. If it's you, stop it. And don't feed off it. And then in Proverbs 18:6-8, he keeps going and he goes, fools' words get them into constant quarrels. They are asking for a beating. Don't you love that verse? Fools' words get them into constant quarrels. They are asking for a beating. You're like picturing people right now. And then in verse 7, it says, the mouths of fools are their ruin. They trap themselves with their lips. Rumors are dainty morsels that sink deep into one's heart. I had a friend growing up, and we were really close in high school. And one of the things that this guy, man, he just would run his mouth with like upperclassmen. And I have never seen someone take a beating as many times as this guy. Like over and over. And I remember they would even tell him like if you don't stop with your mouth, we're going to beat you again. And all of a sudden, just when I think he can't take another hit, he says something. And I'm like, dude, what are you doing? And I used to tell him, hey man, maybe you should think about your mouth a little bit. Like, I'm not saying a few of those things to those people. Might help. You might look a little different. But he just will keep doing it. And so you see verses like this where they're literally asking for a beating. Well, he was asking for a beating, and his mouth would just continually get him into trouble. And I love how it says the mouth of a fool is their ruin. They trap themselves with their lips. When I talked about the individual who was speaking and just speaking out and creating a story, and all of a sudden now he's called out on the rug at the Olympics, and it turns out not so accurate. He is trapped by his lips right now. He is trapped by what he has said. And you better believe it. It can cost you your job, your reputation, close friendships. We've got to learn how to control this. It's so funny. I'm thinking about what I'm preaching on tonight. And I don't even know why I didn't just say a prayer before I jumped in my car to drive up here. Because I just knew this was going to happen, but as it's happening, I'm failing and failing and failing. Every bad driver in San Diego got on the roads when I came to drive here to preach this message. I swear. Because all of a sudden, I'm mad, and I'm coming up here to preach. And here I am, I am so mad. I'm verbally, now I'm in my car, the radio's on, so we're safe. They can't hear me, but I'm verbally yelling and I'm about to talk about the power of the mouth. and so this is something that we have to think about. We have to think about it. The power that could come out of this. There's an episode. I love this TV show. It's not on anymore. It's called The Office. And every now and again, when I have a bad day, I turn it on Netflix, and it just makes me laugh. And it's kind of like my detox. All right, and there's one episode where all of a sudden, Michael Scott, who's probably the least emotional intelligent person ever invented on TV or in real life, he's the boss, and he hears his coworkers talking about something, and they're talking about something that he doesn't know about, and he feels left out. He feels left out about office gossip. So what does he do? He creates some gossip about one of them having an affair on their wife. So he creates this gossip and starts spreading it to all the people in the office. And then one of his coworkers finally says, hey, you should probably think about what you're spreading here because you might be ruining their life. And so what does he do? He doesn't go to those people and say, hey, this wasn't true. What he does is start a whole bunch of other false rumors so that nobody believes anything. And it is just the most hilarious episode because all of a sudden, all these people are hearing rumors about themselves and none of them are true except this one because it ended up actually the guy was having an affair. And so they all come into his office and they just call him out on it and he caused just complete chaos because of him starting these rumors. You will start chaos in your life if you are someone that is just going to start passing stuff on that you got no business passing on. And you will find yourself very alone very quickly because nobody wants to be around that. If you see it or you hear it, just shut it down. And then Proverbs 18:13, it says, spouting off before listening to the facts is both shameful and foolish. Oh man, this one's hard. How many times have you just freaked out? You don't know the facts, you just freak out. Like someone just says something to you and you just freak out. Someone says to you early in the day at work, hey, I need to talk to you at some point in time today. What do they want? Oh, I wonder if they caught me. I wonder what they know. I wonder what they're going to say. And we freak out. Listen, get the facts. And here's the other thing that's huge. When you get information and you don't know the facts, just be patient in that moment and then try and focus on what's good. Because we immediately, when something catches us off guard, what do we jump to? Worst case, right? Worst case situation, worst case scenario. And how many times does that end up just being wasted stress? Most of the time. And then he keeps going in Proverbs 15. And like I said, just listen to these verses. These are all about our mouths. In 15:1, it says, a gentle answer deflects anger, but harsh words make tempers flare. You're like, duh. The tongue of the wise makes knowledge appealing, And then in verse 4, it says, gentle words are a tree of life. A deceitful tongue crushes the spirit. And then in verse 7, the lips of the wise give good advice. The heart of a fool has none to give. But that first one, in 15:1, it says, a gentle answer deflects anger. A gentle answer. Just think about a gentle answer for a moment. How many of you who are married or have been married or are in a serious relationship have had your significant other say something and you go, or if they say they want to say, and they start talking, you go, what? What? What are you talking about? And all of a sudden, and I mean, there's like dead bodies. Some of the, we come to church and we're like, oh, we love each other. We sit next to each other. We worship together and we're going to leave holding hands. And we get in the car and someone says something, what? And it's on. It's on. And it happens so quickly. And so it just says like a gentle answer, a gentle response. Like think of how different it will be and how many fights you will save by just going, how do I need to respond to this? And how do I not need to respond? And responding in a gentle way will save you from many, many fights. And then it keeps going. Like the way I talk makes who I am and what I have to say, it makes it appealing. That's a huge thing for you to understand. By how you say what you say, you are making what you're about appealing. And people want to be around you. They'll want to hear what you have to say. They'll listen when you speak. You'll have real friends, not just like social media, Facebook friends, but real ones. And they'll want to know you. They'll want to hear you. They'll listen to you. They'll seek you out. And I love how it says, gentle words are a tree of life. They help you grow. They build you up. When you speak nicely to somebody, you are building them up. And it's huge. And I don't know what it is, but we think, oh man, well, I'm a Christian or whatever. I don't need to do that stuff because we've got God and everything. No, we need to be built up. We need to be encouraged because, man, life is rough. It's hard. And there's moments where I'm down in the dumps and I don't know what I'm going to do. We all have those seasons in our lives. Something doesn't happen in business. Something doesn't happen financially. Something doesn't happen at home. Something does happen at home. Surprise, you're going to have another kid. All these things happen in our lives and we just need moments where someone just encourages us and builds us up. Lips of wise people give good advice. Do people ask you for your advice? Because they will. And then in Proverbs 16:21, 23 and 24, he keeps going. He says, the wise are known for their understanding and pleasant words are persuasive. And then in 23, from a wise mind comes wise speech. The words of the wise are, once again, persuasive. And then in 24, kind words are like honey, sweet to the soul and healthy for the body. I love this whole idea that what comes out of my mouth, when it's something that's coming from God, it's persuasive. Wisdom is persuasive. And this is huge. Like I said, talked about appealing, but he's saying this is what persuades people. You think of the presidential candidates right now. They are trying to figure out how to speak in a way that persuades you to vote for them. And it's not working well for either of them. But that's what they want, right? They want to speak in such a way that when you see them, when you see a news clip, you go, I believe in them. I trust them. There's wisdom there. And so when there is wisdom in there, it's very, very persuasive. People follow it. They buy into it. They go after it. And the question is, you are persuading people by how you talk to go in a direction. Which direction is it? And it says in 24 how good it feels to receive kind words. Just kind words like, I love you. Now, don't just say that like if you're a dude and you see a girl, like he said, say it kind of, I love you, okay? But you look amazing. You're such a smart person. Thank you for sharing that. Have you ever had someone just say, thank you for sharing that? And you're like, yeah, awesome. What do you think about this? Bringing someone in, just asking what they think about it. Saying you have a beautiful smile. You have such a large heart for others. You inspire me. Just the simple thank you. And it says it's like honey going into my body, and it just feels great. It gives me health. And in 1820, I'm just gonna kind of states that the wise words that people share are like a good meal and they bring satisfaction into my life. Have you ever had a conversation with someone and as you left, you just felt amazing? You just felt so good. Like you just went, what an awesome conversation. Man, I feel so good after that. You know, it says it can be when conversation and speech is done in a way that's wise, that's godly, that it fills you up. It doesn't drain you. I think we've all had conversations that we walked away going, oh my goodness, I am done. I'm so drained from that person. Oh, honey, I can't meet with them again. I can't do it. But there's other conversations where I leave and I like skip to my car and I get in and I'm like Rocky music and I'm inspired, I'm ready to go. And it's like, I love that verse 18:20. It's like I've had this satisfying meal and I'm just so, I feel good. I was in Chicago a couple weeks ago and I had this Lou Malnati's pizza and as I got into the car, the driver that was driving me back to my hotel, I just went, oh, that was so good. Oh, your pizza here, there's just something different. And it was so comforting and felt so good. Not later, but in that moment, it felt really good. I tried to do a run that night and I hated the pizza then, but it felt good. And sometimes there's conversations when we're talking, how we should talk to each other. It feels good. It feels good. And then in 1821, and I just want to, this is the kicker here. This is the thing that just needs to hit home for all of us, because I think one of the things we do so often is go, it was just a conversation. It's no big deal. It's not that big of a deal. Man, I got to tell you, I've been wounded by just flippant words. I've been wounded. I've still got to like call someone and be like, dude, that hurt. That hurt. And I think what we normally do, because we talk so much and have so many conversations, that we just kind of just go, whatever, they'll get it or they'll understand. Not all the time. And there's incredible power with this. And in 1821, he says, the tongue can bring death or life. Those who love to talk will reap the consequences. Now, I'm not saying don't talk, but you just need to know that the tongue has the power to bring death or life. Does how I talk bring life into this world? Does it bring life to my family when I'm home and I'm talking to my wife and my kids are there? Now, my kids can't understand half the things I say, but do they feel like it's life-giving? To others around me, is my speech life-giving? Does it persuade others? Like I said, when talk is right, it's persuasive. Does it persuade others to follow Jesus? Or does my mouth produce death? Is it out of control? Am I reacting like crazy to things right now? Am I spreading rumors, gossip? Am I lying about stuff? And there is this incredible verse in Colossians 4:6, and it says, let your speech always be seasoned like salt with grace. And when I look at Jesus' life, because that's our model, that's who we're trying to follow, when I look at Jesus' life and you study and you see how he would speak and how people would respond, they responded because there was so much grace coming out of how he spoke to them. There was so much compassion. There was love. There was authority. There was authenticity, and people loved him to the point they died for him. Now listen, I get it. Your actions, because I hear it all the time, your actions will speak louder than your words. Yes, you're right, but your words can overshadow your actions. They can. There's incredible power there. You have no idea where your listener is at in their life half the time when we just speak. You know, and I'll just be honest, because I speak a lot. And sometimes I'm like, I just want to not talk for a long time. But I speak a lot, and people ask me my opinion in this or that. And I'll tell you, I've offended a lot of people. And so I have gone back and had to ask for forgiveness. I've had to say, hey, I said that. Yeah, I know. I shouldn't have said it. I shouldn't have said it this way. I'm sorry. I've had to apologize to my wife and say, yeah, honey, I know. I'm so sorry. That's not what I meant by that. I'm sorry. I've had to apologize a lot. But let's always be willing to apologize a lot, because there's so much power in what comes out of this, and it can wreck lives. And that's why Solomon is like, listen, like this is big for you. You need to get this because it's just something we sweep under the rug. It's just a characteristic trait, but it's so much bigger because it can bring life or death into someone's heart and mind. And I think of the people, some of you need to think about forgiveness tonight. You need to think about, hey, is there someone I need to either forgive that I've been giving leverage in my life based upon what they said about me or said to me? And for some of you, you need to go and apologize because you've said something. And I want to encourage you, though, with this, because I think sometimes we'll leave here and we're just like, oh, my gosh, that hurt. Oh, I feel so convicted. That's not the point. Listen, I want you to know something. The guy that I read about here that had the biggest issue with his mouth is a guy named Peter. Okay? I mean, we're talking the guy that adamantly denied even knowing Jesus after he just was with Jesus for the whole period of Jesus' ministry, one of his closest friends, closest followers. And he's called out on the rug multiple times, and to the point of cussing at these people, he says, I don't know Jesus. I've got nothing to do with Jesus. And this guy had issues with his mouth all the way through his ministry. But you know what I see? I see Jesus say, you're going to be my rock. You're going to be the cornerstone of the church. And I read that and I see this guy's life. And you know what it says to me? Your mouth is redeemed. And regardless of what you said or not said or heard or passed on or whatever, allow God to use you regardless, because sometimes we allow all the junk in us to paralyze us from moving forward. And God says, look at the people I used. Just look at the people I used. But you need to know that this man, it can inspire people. It can bring life to people. It can make people believe in themselves that they never thought they could. And you can lead. And you will have people listen to you if you do it God's way. And so that's my challenge. Think about this and allow him to change this. God, thank you. Thank you for these mouths attached to our face. Thank you for the ability to communicate. Lord, without the ability to communicate, it would be really hard to model you. It would be really hard to talk about you. It would be really hard to share about this incredible hope that lies within us. And sometimes, God, what slips and comes out of my mouth is the farthest thing from what I claim to believe and who I claim to love. But God, those are the moments when I understand and realize that there is incredible grace. There's incredible love for every single one of us. And God, some of us, we've kind of just flippantly just allowed our speech to just kind of get out of control. And we're not intentional. We don't think about what we're saying. And God, there's people in our lives. There's people that all of a sudden are just in a conversation with us and they're hurt. They're wounded. They've got baggage. And they need something from God. But because we get in the way and decide to just speak in a way that doesn't coincide with what we claim to believe, these people walk away defeated. They walk away hurt. They don't want to step foot into any church. But God, you have said, as Christians, the very term Christian is Christ in, that you can live inside of us. And Lord, not just to be in there and stay there, but to come out through our actions and how we speak. And so, Lord, help us to think and to clearly articulate with our mouths this incredible hope that lies within us. And Lord, I pray for any of us right now that's holding on to something that is holding us back from experiencing all of you just because somebody said something. Somebody even talked about God and they said this to me and it hurt me and it felt like manipulation, didn't feel like God. Lord, I pray that we would just sweep that under the rug, that we would not give whoever that is, whether it's a friend, a pastor, or anybody else, we would not allow that to take leverage and have reign in our hearts because God, you redeem that. You care about us so much. And so, Lord, for some of us, get us back up. For some of us, I pray that we would just go and seek out forgiveness and just say, hey, that was wrong. Forgive me. But at the end of the day, God, thank you for these vocal cords that can produce love and joy and peace and bring life into someone else's life. In Jesus' name, amen.